I'm Dennis Anderson, and here's what's coming up on Almanac North. Tackling Racism, a UMD summit addresses anti-racism, and those involved share how we can all implement anti-racist practices in our everyday lives. How some Northland women are faring during the pandemic with endless to-do lists as headlines pop up across the country about the pandemic forcing women to leave the workforce. And we'll have an update on the Wisconsin wolf hunt and the future of golf in Duluth. These stories coming up on Almanac North. Hello and welcome to Almanac North. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Dennis Anderson. Julie is off this week as we rotate hosting during the pandemic. Well, Enbridge says 2 of their Line 3 workers were immediately dismissed once the company learned they were arrested in a sex trafficking sting in Itasca County. In the 3-day operation made public last week, 7 were arrested. Authorities say they will not stand for people buying other people for sex. Congressman Pete Stauber has announced housing grants for all 5 tribes in Minnesota's 8th Congressional District. $10 million in Department of Housing and Urban Development funding will go towards development and operation of low-income housing. This week, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz announced his Local Jobs and Projects Plan. That plan invests over $518 million in projects across the state by maintaining existing assets, investing in communities, and ensuring federal funds come to the land of 10,000 lakes. Now included in the plan are state agency, higher education, and housing projects. The City of Superior is updating its comprehensive plan, which creates a 20-year vision for future planning and community decisions. Right now, they are planning and in the process of gathering feedback from and information about the community. Future phases involve the plan being developed and adopted. Community Action Duluth says it's opening a mobile market to address food insecurity in Duluth. A refrigerated truck stocked with fresh produce, staples such as grains, dairy, canned goods, and more will come to 3 city locations each month. Community Action hopes electronic benefit transfer will be accepted as pay, though that is pending approval. And turning now to our top story tonight, addressing anti-racism. A University of Minnesota Duluth virtual summit will discuss being anti-racist. The 3-day summit runs next Tuesday through Thursday. How can we all be cognizant of practicing being anti-racist in our everyday lives? And why is that important? Joining us now is Sean Bedard Parker, Summit Organizer and UMD Accreditation Director. And Susanna Paleo Woodward is the Director of UMD's Office of Diversity and Inclusion. Thank you both for being here. Interesting topic. Let's get right to it because I know it's going to be a busy week for you people next week. So, Sean, what is the upcoming summit all about, and what can people expect if they plug into it?
Well, the Commission on Equity, Race, and Ethnicity has this annual summit, and our goal is to meet the needs of certainly the larger Twin Ports community, as well as our UMD student, staff, and faculty needs. And the theme of this summit is being anti-racist, doing anti-racism. And so what our team came up with, the commission, decided to target not only the idea of not being anti-racist, but how do we go about being better community members? Essentially, to be an anti-racist is to adopt a posture that everyone is welcome in the community and that we refuse to allow the seeds of disrespect to foment and encourage us to separate ourselves.
I liked your choice of words. You said doing anti-racism. What does that mean?
It means not simply taking a rather stated position and quietly and saying this may exist, but I don't need to be a part. To be an anti-racist is not necessarily to do it, in our opinion. Doing it means that you refuse to accept the status quo, that you actively engage in practices that encourage that community engagement for all of us.
Susanna, can you define for us anti-racism? What does it boil down to?
Well, I mean, what we're hoping is that it will be an opportunity for people to engage, to ask that question, where is the root causes of racism and the impact on people, especially BIPOC people in our community. So being anti-racist is asking that question, first in personal, like what is my prejudices, what is my racist thoughts that I have? I mean, we are product of this society and culture. And then asking that question and questioning institutional racism that we see that happens in the actions that people have or make, and asking those questions to then moving forward to say, okay, what is my role as a community member of the Duluth community, the university, to create change and start asking questions and being able to stop that.
The summit will be virtual. Can those who are attending virtually then plug into talking to those of you who are in charge of the summit? Can they ask questions? Can they make statements?
Yes, they'll be through the every day. They'll be, Tuesday we'll have a keynote speaker as well as on Wednesday. And there'll be a time where people will be able to ask questions. We also will have other workshops and breakout sessions where people will be able to engage in conversation. For example, after each keynote speaker, we'll have a session where those that would like to engage in conversation to talk more about what they learn about the keynote.
Sean, can a person be racist without even realizing it?
I think so. And the commission takes the stance that racist practices are not something that are outside us. We live in a society that in its own way has allowed some things to be. We have institutions that were built by certain people with certain agendas historically, and that unwittingly sometimes we've all become part of this machinery that keeps it going. And
we weren't born racist, so what happened to us? Is it a learned experience?
It is a belief that we have that is a learned behavior. And because it's learned behavior, it can be unlearned. But it has to be recognized to be unlearned.
That makes a lot of sense. Susanna, can you give us an example maybe of how people might be racist and they don't even know they are?
Well, you know, sometimes, as you said, that is something that we learn. We call it, there's a socialization that happens. And sometimes we learn those behaviors even from the people that love us the most. Our parents, our grandparents, institutions like churches, schools. And so sometimes you're learning this behavior. I mean, even by not learning the history of this country. I mean, I have taught many years at the university, and it saddens me when I find students when they said, how come it's the first time that I'm learning about the history of slavery? I didn't understand that. How come I have never learned about the history of the indigenous people of this community? So,
how do you yourself practice being anti-racist?
It's an everyday work. I mean, it's every day asking.
It takes concentration?
Well, it's just asking those questions to be able to always be thinking about what is the reason that is this happening? And something that I'm always, from the beginning, teaching my children, you know, and making sure that they understand that our differences are important and there's a lot of value in it, and making sure that we acknowledge and be respectful and asking those questions. And when we see racist behavior, to ask and to intervene.
Sean, what do you hope the summit accomplishes?
One of the things that I have, and I will say this personally, is I hope that the people who attend are not necessarily people who just agree with us. We want people to attend who want to engage in questions that are uncomfortable. We want people to ask hard questions of themselves and of the speakers. That's how we all learn. You can't grow if everything is comfortable and you assume you know it all. And so that's what I'm hoping especially takes place.
Susanna, you've been here for several years. What kind of progress have you seen in the Northland where maybe there is some change that's recognizable out there?
I could tell, well, there's many. I mean, at the university, sometimes sometimes the students say there is no progress. And I say, oh, if I could just tell you stories of the changes that I have seen through the time. You know, the diversification of our enrollment of students, of our faculty and staff, the courses and majors that students can actually major. In the city of Duluth, I mean, we have now several commissions. Before it was only the NAACP that we were able to go to, and now we have a Commission on Human Rights We have an African American Heritage Commission. I have seen many changes. We still have long ways to go.
Oh yes, I'm sure we do here. Can you give us a little rundown now of what's going to take place at the summit and when and where?
Well, the summit is virtual, and so we are asking people to go on our site and register. And so we will have Tim Weiss will speak on Tuesday. He will be an opening speaker. On Wednesday, we have Dr. Ibram Kendi, who will have a very good guest speaker statement and engagement to have, and then a number of workshops that will happen Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We'll have a number of organizations that people can engage and talk to that are committed to the same project.
It sounds like you are well prepared.
We hope we are.
Okay, thank you very much. Sean Bedard Parker and Susanna Paleo Woodward, thank you both for being here. All the best with the upcoming summit.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
It's time now for Voices of the Region. Each week we hear from a journalist in our broadcast area and the stories they are reporting. This week, Heidi Holtan from KAXE Radio is our guest.
One of the most recent stories we've covered is our Strong Women series, and we have been hearing throughout media about women's role specifically during the pandemic. And so we were really curious and excited to talk to women about how they fared after 2020. So we just recently held another of our focus groups where we invite anyone to join us. This is the first time we've had an open call, and the response was overwhelming. So as the pandemic has been continuing on, we thought this was a great time to look back at 2020. Media has been reporting about how women are leaving the workforce. They've been forced to do that because of all of the struggles and the things that are going on. A lot of the burdens have fallen squarely on women's shoulders, whether it is health and safety due to the COVID pandemic, or if it is the burden of politics and racism, taking care of children. Women have felt a lot of that. Here's what we heard from one of our women in our recent focus group.
My husband ran a nursing home during this last year, which meant that I basically took over everything related to our household, everything related to our children, homeschooling, and no time for myself and no partner, because even when he was home, he was just not mentally able to be present. And that was probably, so many hard things in the last year, but that probably, like, the weight of holding everything together was really freaking hard.
The fear that this striving for equal pay is gonna take even longer because of this pandemic, because women are having to leave the workforce. We're seeing a lot of things nationally. The New York Times have been reporting on this a lot about how you'll see the headlines, that women are leaving the workforce. You don't see a headline that says that men are not leaving the workforce and making their wives do that work, and so it's really sort of an interesting dynamic of how media reports on this. And we really like to use the authentic voices of and lived experience of women instead of relying on kind of experts. So we have continued to cover different aspects of the Enbridge Line 3 replacement project. We've been learning about safety and employment and outreach from the company itself, from Enbridge Energy. We've been talking to lots of water protectors at camp in Palisade. And most recently, we talked to Aiken County Sheriff Dan Gaida. It was a really informative interview. And one of the big things he explained to us was something that came up in our conversation with water protectors. White Earth member Winona LaDuke recently testified at a House hearing that police were being paid by Enbridge Energy, and she really questioned what laws that they were enforcing if they were being paid for by a private corporation of a $2 billion project. So Sheriff Guida explained to us that the Public Utilities Commission required Enbridge put money into an escrow account to pay for additional costs of law enforcement during the project. So that money goes to the state. It is managed by the state, and Enbridge does not have control over how it is used or control over any of the law enforcement. So this is not, like I said, this is not just two sides of this. There are really huge issues going on here, right, in northern Minnesota about fossil fuel industry, about climate change, about jobs in rural areas, about sex trafficking. Another story we recently covered had to do with conservation, especially as it pertains to the cold, deep lakes of north central Minnesota. Climate change has had an effect there. The temperatures are rising. There's been a lot more development, and that affects the health of a lake. And they're finding more of an increase of this blue-green algae that is affecting the Tullibee or the cisco populations. Now, those are the little fish that walleye and muskie and northern feed on. So it's kind of the first indicator that something is changing there. And so this group we talked to, they are working, it's Northern Waters Land Trust. They're studying this issue. They're bringing in biologists and conservationists. They're also working with landowners and business owners about doing things like conservation easements. You know, the more people live on lakes and mow their lawns completely down to a lake and don't leave a lot of the natural surroundings, that it can really affect whether we're going to be able to eat the fish out of our lakes in 10, 20 years, whether we're going to be able to swim in our lakes.
The city of Duluth has decided to permanently close the Lester Park Golf Course. The Lester Park course was closed last year as city officials decided its future. Under the city proposal, Enger Park Golf Course will be renovated in 2023, and Lester Park will open for one final season before its permanent closure. And so joining us to talk about the future of golf in Duluth is Jim Philby-Williams, the city's Director of Public Administration. Jim, so great to have you on the program. I know this is a big story, a lot of people interested in golf locally and regionally, that's for sure. What went into the city's decision to close Lester Park?
You know, public golf is an essential part of fulfilling the City of Duluth's Parks and Recreation mission. For so many people, golf is the primary way that they connect with friends, they get active outside, they connect with the natural world. And so we were determined, if at all possible, to save both courses. And we found at the end of the day that that simply was infeasible.
Mm-hmm. Is there a glut of golf courses in our region?
No less a champion of golf than the National Golf Foundation has said that the nation overbuilt golf courses so much a decade ago that in order for the majority of golf courses to thrive, a minority must close. And that is the situation we face locally as well.
Did the pandemic play any role at all, Jim, in the decision to close?
Our plan was to save Enger first and then pivot to save Lester if feasible. Before the pandemic, that was a highly uncertain proposition, just short of a Hail Mary.
Oh, yeah.
The arrival of the pandemic, the economic collapse, and the failure thus far to sell real estate at Lester Golf Course to pay for renovations, those were really the final nails in the coffin.
Is that still the plan, to sell a part of Lester Park Golf Course once it closes?
The renovation of Enger will likely be funded by golf revenues, by sale of targeted golf real estate that the council has previously identified as priority for housing development. And so I think we're on track to sell a small parcel at Enger, and we'll continue to look at selling a 10 to 20 acre portion of Lower Leicester Golf Course for housing.
What does it cost annually to run the two golf courses here in the city, both city-owned?
It depends on the year, but roughly $1.5 million, $1.7 million per year.
And are we being able to live up to that or not necessarily?
No, the city has run consistent deficits ranging from $100,000 to $300,000 per year for the last 20 years and accumulated a $2.8 million deficit that is the general fund has loaned to the golf fund. We can't afford to have our general fund continuing to subsidize this course on such a big scale.
I'm sure, Jim, some golfers have asked, why close Leicester Park and not Enger? Your response would be?
You know, we want a golf program that serves all of our citizens as well and as fairly as possible. And in a community that's long, skinny, and 27 miles, locating our course in the center of the community just is fairer than locating it at one far end.
Leicester Park will reopen in 2023 for one more season of golf. Is that the year that Enger will be renovated and you'll close Enger that year?
If all goes well, we will develop a Enger renovation plan with our golf committee this year, develop a financing plan and renovate that in 2023. And for that year, we'll reopen Leicester so that there'll still be a place for folks to play.
Where's the money coming, Jim, for the renovation?
Really, it needs to come from golf revenue, first and foremost. To some extent, our golf management firm may commit their own capital investment. Perhaps there will be contributions from local golfers, and then proceeds from the sales of these small golf real estate parcels. Can
you tell us a little bit about the history of publicly owned golf courses here in the city of Duluth? Are they both around the same age?
Enger's a little bit older, but they're both from the 30s. The history of public golf in Duluth is tremendously proud. At one point, Golf Magazine identified our two courses as among the best publicly owned golf courses in the nation.
So what does the future of golf look like in Duluth then once Leicester is closed and Enger perhaps in better condition than it is right now?
We're optimistic. Golf still has enormous popularity. It's enormously good for people's well-being and our community's well-being. We just need to right-size the supply of public golf for a diminished but still very significant group of golfers.
It seems like even many small towns around here have golf courses. Why is golf so important? I mean, it's a beloved sport.
You know, I think for a lot of people, for decades, one or both of these golf courses has been their primary source of exercise, of connection to the natural world, of connection to each other. It's really a core part of their quality of life, and we really respect and honor that and want to do our best to save Duluth Public Golf.
And we have to leave it right there. Thank you very much, Jim. Jim Philby-Williams, appreciate you being on the program tonight.
Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you. Wisconsin's court-ordered wolf hunting season wrapped up in just 3 days this week. Hunters and trappers quickly surpassed the 119 wolf quota set by the Wisconsin DNR, and the season was closed just 72 hours after it opened. DNR officials held a virtual news conference Thursday to assess the season.
Going into the season this late in February was fairly unprecedented, and we played out a lot of different scenarios and ways it could have gone. And certainly this was one we considered. You know, the use of dogs is a very efficient method of harvest, and it was allowed this full season. And certainly in my neck of the woods in northern Wisconsin, we had fresh snow both Monday morning and Tuesday morning, which is ideal condition for tracking wolves, both with the use of dogs or really any method.
When we started monitoring the season, which was right away on Monday, At the end of the day, we were at 9 animals harvested. When we came into work the next day, looking at the numbers, we were up to 48. And we started monitoring the population constantly, or the harvest, I should say, constantly. And immediately we took that initiative to close the first 3 zones. And, certainly it didn't take us long by the time we looked at that and worked through that closure, that by the time it got around to noon, we were already talking about and implementing processes necessary to close the remaining 3 zones.
Wolf populations are resilient and they can sustain a fairly high level of mortality or harvest. And it's also important to keep in mind, specifically here with Wisconsin, our population is neighbored. We've got wolves in the UP, we've got wolves in Minnesota, Ontario. There's a lot of movement between all 3. So, this is a segment of a much larger and well-connected, healthy wolf population.
Federal protection of the wolf was removed by the Trump administration late last year, leading to this week's hunt. Keep up with the latest from Almanac North by following us on social media. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And visit the WDSE website for updates on programming, news about the station, and upcoming events. And you can also download the PBS video app for on-demand viewing of your favorite programs. Thanks to our guests and the crew here in the studio. I'm Dennis Anderson. Stay healthy, everyone, and be kind.